So, okay, well, who is this guy? And so let me give you my whole life story in 2 minutes. And if you've ever tried to do that, it's not easy, especially if you like to talk. Okay. So, well, my name is Chet Crain, and I was saved at 12 years old. My dad was career Army, and he retired in his hometown of Puckett, Mississippi. And at 12 years old, I received Christ as my Savior. And then after high school, I tried to go to college, but I was very immature and just not ready. And so I ended up going in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I'm a Vietnam veteran. While I was in the Marine Corps, guys called the Navigator Ministry, you may have heard of Navigator Ministries, got hold of me, discipled me, and I decided I wanted to give my life to full-time service. And so I went to Southwestern Bible College in Arizona. The reason I was in Arizona is because that's my last duty station was in Yuma, Arizona. And I earned my elementary degree. While I was there, I met the lovely Mrs. Crain. And so we were married, and I started teaching, and we started having kids. And I taught in the Phoenix area in Christian schools for about 7 years. And then in 1988, my wife's home church in Yuma, Arizona, called me to be a youth pastor, and I was always interested in full-time ministry in the church, and so I went there. I was there for 3 years, and under the pressure of ministry, God needed to get some things out of my life. So I had some medical issues, post-traumatic stress things that were going on. I won't go into all that. It's a story for another day. Needless to say, the way God used that in my life was to get me to Maui. And so, isn't it amazing that He takes these, what we call boulders in our life, these things that happen to us, and then He uses them for His purpose. That's the amazing thing about being a Christian. So I was here for 9 years, and Miss Lita was my teaching partner. We did middle school. I did coaching and PE and just whatever needed to be done. And while I was here, I went to Heritage University. They had an extension school here, and I earned my Master's of Education in Staff Development. I left Maui not really wanting to. I just, the whole way I was reluctant, but there were reasons for us to go. I didn't think one of them was a good reason, but altogether it seemed like we were supposed to go. And little did I know it was because God needed to train me in something before He sent me back. We became foster parents. Mrs. Crain has to have kids around. She was a kindergarten teacher here for 9 years, and all of our kids were gone, so we had to have kids. So we started doing foster parenting, and then I was a teacher, then a board member, and then an administrator at the Carpe Diem schools, which I'll explain to you about in a little while. And then in 2007, we lost my oldest daughter, Carice, in a tragic auto accident. But she left us 2 grandsons. They're in Chicago now. I also have a granddaughter. My son lives in Portland, and I have a granddaughter and a granddog in Portland. And then in this past July, I retired. And I must say, I love golf, but since I've retired, I've not played one hole of golf. I don't know what this retirement and playing golf thing's all about, because I don't have time, but anyway, maybe one of these days. Now, when Miss Moore saw this picture, she said the other day, she made a comment, Chet, we need to update your picture. So Miss Moore, I did find an update. This is my new picture. All right, it's a lot of focus, isn't it? So a friend of mine sent me that. So my life verse is Linus 1:1. There's no heavier burden than a great potential. How many of you have that in your life? I remember my wife, when I asked her, I said, well, why did you marry me? She said, because you have such great potential. I thought, oh no, that is a very heavy burden. That's not really my life verse, but I love Linus. My real life verse is go in the strength, and this is God talking to Gideon. He says, go in and in the context there, it's little strength. Go in the little strength that you have I am with you, and the emphasis is that God's with us. It's not about our strength. It's about God being with us in the endeavors. And I believe that God gives us the desire of our hearts. And my desire, ever since I left Maui, was to come back here and in some way return to this community what they had done for me and the healing that went on in my life when I was here for 9 years. And I am just ecstatic that I'm coming back. I think the only thing better than coming back to Maui would be if the Lord would just come and take me home. But that would definitely be better. So how did we get here? And I talk about the fullness of time. Carolyn mentioned that earlier. It's just like God brings all things together. First of all was the desire and the prayer of the Doris Todd board. It was their desire and prayer for years and years. And then God sent me back to the mainland and helped. I was one of the founding fathers of this Carpe Diem blended model, which we'll talk about in a minute. So he had me go back there for 10 years to prepare me. Meanwhile, the 9 years I had been here, I was developing relationships. And so, and that has been very important. And then the dedication of key people who are committed to Christian education on Maui. And not just people here. You have people on the mainland that are very, very much interested in helping the school. And I'll introduce you to those a little bit later. So the vision for now is the community of Maui believers to come together and establish a sustainable Christian high school utilizing the Carpe Diem model for education. That is the vision to get things started, okay? And we will be doing that. Our mission is to educate with knowledge. Call it the 3 E's, because school is about knowledge. I tell the kids, you come to school, got to get knowledge, okay? But the way we're going to get knowledge is a little bit different. To empower with Christ's character. There are a lot of schools. I've been in the public school system now for 10 years, and they're supposed to be teaching character education, but it's really hard. It is really hard. How do you teach character education without mentioning Christ? How do you do it? It's really hard. And then to equip then those young people for service, to go out into their community and serve in their jobs and also serve in the church. So how is the blended, what we call the blended model of education, how is that different from traditional education? So I want to show you a quick video, and let me set that up for you real quick.
Horn is co-author of the book Disrupting Class. He defines blended learning as the integration of computer-based instruction with traditional teaching.
It uses online learning in some really innovative ways in a really cool structure that doesn't look anything like school.
One of the main concepts of what we're doing here is to empower students to take charge of their education. They are working independently, but also collaboratively with the teachers, with our staff, with our team.
Rick Oxton is founder and CEO of this innovative public charter school in Yuma, Arizona. It serves students grades 6 to 12. The town sits near the borders of California and Mexico and has the distinct honor of being the sunniest place on earth. That according to the Guinness Book of World Records. But that's not what has Oxton smiling.
Over the last 4 years, we've had a 94% proficiency rating across the board with all of our content areas. 36% of our students are not only proficient in reading and writing and math, but they're also exceeding all state standards.
Equally impressive, there's no achievement gap between children of different races and no difference between poor and rich children.
So we find some at the lower end of the economic sense, they are actually performing at or above some of the others that don't have those kind of disadvantages. Additionally, for 2 consecutive years, we've led the entire state in student growth.
The results just jump off the page. It's one of the best schools in Arizona with very limited dollars.
What makes Carpe Diem so radical is that teachers do not provide primary instruction to students. Instead, that comes from an online learning system called Education 2020.
Teachers don't have to teach the core subjects in a one-size-fits-all fashion.
Moving through the work depends on you.
9th grader Alicia Grimes was a top winner at the recent Tucson Regional Science Fair. She's ahead in all her classes.
It's either how fast or how slow you move. So if you decide to finish a whole grade early and move on to the next, you can.
You're not stuck by the speed of the slowest in the class. Every student has personalized education. They can work as fast as they want. We have a minimum pace they have to go.
Chet Crain keeps a close watch, spending most of his day in the Learning Center. He's there during school hours, Monday through Thursday. School on Friday is only for kids needing extra help and catching up.
The Learning Center is the place where a major part of the learning takes place on curriculum. At any given time, there can be up to 230 students in one room. They kind of have us outnumbered. They just haven't figured that out yet.
What he means is there are only 5 full-time certified teachers or coaches. They are backed by 4 paraprofessionals or assistant coaches. Each is equipped with real-time data on student performance from E2020.
All of our staff that carry data, notes, things like that, to where they can talk to the kids and they can bring up their data instantaneously, find out where they're doing.
Do you need help with that, kid? Yeah.
Reinforcing that data are the teachers' long-term relationships with their students. Coaches teach every grade, so they learn student strengths and weaknesses over time.
In the school, you're closer to your teachers.
Senior Rebecca Modine has been at the school since 6th grade.
You can talk to them about anything, basically, most of them.
The coach's job is to apply the computer lessons in their real-world workshops.
Say one of our 6th graders is learning how to divide fractions. Well, on the computer, it looks one way, but how practical is that? So when that student goes into Mr. Urban's math class, he will actually have them do a project that will show why that is relevant.
I'll apply math to either aviation, woodwork, or whatever they're interested in.
And that is the job of our classroom teachers, is to make that learning on the computer relevant.
And allow them to use their creativity, their personalities to become engaged and really understand what they're learning beyond just the basic.
Language arts coach Rachel Hartford offers another advantage of Carpe Diem's blended learning model.
Nobody knows exactly what lesson they're on, and when they get to something that they don't understand, they don't have to be embarrassed to let the teacher know, because I can see that and I can work with that.
I would hate it if a teacher would ask me if I needed help, or like in a classroom if they like, you guys, everyone gets it, I'm like, yes. I would just say yes, because I don't feel like I didn't get it and I wasn't as smart as everybody else. So I would just like act like I knew it.
One of the things that's really important to know is E2020 still puts the teacher at the center.
E2020 CEO Sari Factor is a fan of good teachers. She sees technology enhancing the teacher's role.
We see the computer freeing up the teacher to work on the more high-value kind of activities in the classroom, coaching students and mentoring students, providing the encouragement that they need.
X equals 2. Very good. Now let's prove it.
Mr. Ullman, make sure that you come to him whenever you need him to.
10th grader Alia Rodriguez transferred to Carpe Diem a year ago. She's shy and had trouble communicating with teachers at her old public school. So she played hooky for 20 straight days before she got caught. Now, with computers providing help, her relationships with teachers have improved. Alia has gone from failing to succeeding.
You made sure to come and be like, are you okay? And I know you're new here and we can restart this.
Mom is pleased.
She's doing great. She dislikes school, but now she loves it.
It is about relationships with the students. The mission statement of Carpe Diem Collegiate High School is to educate with knowledge, empower with character, and equip for living.
Test scores are up at this school, and so is student responsibility for their own success. Straight ahead, how young people and teachers at Carpe Diem seize the day every day.
They begin to take responsibility. How to be responsible for time management and course management and their learning styles.
Start your morning with America's favorite friend, today's top head, key issues and
That's
conversations
Rick
about
Austin?
everyone top, plus all of today's hottest
He's
names,
the one
cable's
who
number
is
one morning show.
Thanks so much for
helping
sharing
us get
today.
started.
Weekday mornings
He is
starting
a
at 6.
Christian, a former
What if
Navy
there was a
chaplain.
place where eating
And,
felt more like
he's
dining?
my boss for
Welcome
10
to the
years.
new Ruby Tuesday,
So,
where our create your own garden.
let's get through the commercial. We got a couple more minutes.
Chef-inspired entrees starting at $9.99. The new Ruby Tuesday. It's all good here.
We now offer phone service as low as